just a little more. All right. I think this is going to be perfect right here. All right.
So, all right, we're still waiting for Ron, but we can start without him, I guess.
All right.
So, you got any new thoughts, joke-wise or other?
You know, first of all, it's very glad to be here again one more week for another week of, this whole endeavor. It's been an interesting week here in Los Angeles. Comedy is starting to comedy venues are slowly starting to open back up. It's interesting, being able to hear all the different comedians that have been writing what they're talking about. I really find it heartening that so many diverse mindsets, intellects, personalities, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
are so supportive of equal rights in such a fundamental way. And, it really does look like that this is truly the generation. This is the year where all those old racist pieces of shit that are near death, that, look who's running for our presidency, right? We have two old ass motherfuckers that represent either racist past or the progressive past. It's it. And so this is the last generation, I think, that this is hopefully the last presidential election where we have people that are older than the general population by decades that are representing us as humanity, as humans. And, hopefully, people are waking up and realizing that voting is important. Being civic minded, understanding who, state's attorney general and who judges are, and all these things matter, And so hopefully we're seeing this wakening up of people. And if that's the case, man, I am so grateful to be alive at this period of time, to be able to see what's going on, and to hopefully be a part of making a difference. The moment that I'm hoping that over the next 30 days or so, I'll be able to start touring again. And the jokes that I'll be telling will be based off of what I've learned and seen, not only over the pandemic, but in my life as a double minority, as a black gay dude, who was raised by, to be kind, religious, zealous, love your mom and all that, but you're that Southern Baptist, when I was raised, was horrible. There's fear and everything like that. So being able to hopefully be a part of the dialogue that helps people live, grow, recognize themselves for who they are, take inventory of that, and try and be better people, racially and socially, then that's a great thing.
All right. So Mel Harris just joined us. So
how you doing, Mel?
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing
good, brother. How are you? Good seeing
you. Good.
I'm gonna let Mel Harris share, and then we'll all probably just kind of talk about stuff for a little bit, and then we can close it.
Absolutely.
All right. So this is Mel Harris. He lives in Philadelphia, and I found him online a while ago, but I find him entertaining, and I enjoy what he puts out of what I've seen. So you're good.
All right. Am I going? Can you?
Oh yeah, you're going. Sorry, I know it's.
Yeah, we got you, Mel.
All right, I see you guys. I didn't see me on the screen, so I see me in a little box down there. Plus, we have a firework pandemic going on right now in Philadelphia, so I don't know what that's about. But I'm not scared. My cat is scared, and cat lives matter. So I'm trying to put him in a little cage or something. So I don't know what he's doing right now. Maybe he's watching porn, but he's good. Yeah. So this is really dope. I don't know. You guys are West Coast right now.
Oh well, I'm East Coast. I'm in Massachusetts.
Okay.
And I'm in Los Angeles. I'm actually in Manhattan Beach area right now. But just so you know, brother, I'm originally from West Philly, 57th and Larchwood.
Oh, all right. So your fireworks were bullets. I know what you're talking about. I know the area well. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. 57th Larchwood. Yes. All right. Yeah. So that's dope. So I'm a stand-up comic here in Philadelphia. I was a house comic for Atlantic City Comedy Club at the Claridge, and they also are partnered, or their sister location is in Philadelphia. It's the Philly Comedy Club down on 2nd and Market Street in Old City. Right. So those were my regular gigs before we couldn't touch people and all that other stuff. That was my normal run. I was running through those spots, and then I had just gigs here and there regionally. So right now, I'm on here, but my grandpop is in the tub, so I'm leaving him in the bathtub right now so I can do this. Between him and the cat, we got a lot of issues. It's the cat, it's the fireworks, my grandpop in the tub, and I'm an Uber driver. So at any moment I can just get up and walk away. No, but this is dope. This is comedy for right now, so I understand the limitations of this, but it's the only thing we got. It's back to putting messages in a bottle and putting them in the water. I guess I guess that's what you can call it. But this is really dope. A little bit about me. So through the quarantine, I've been dating a little bit. Not 6 feet, but I've been like regularly dating. It's like I'm actually meeting up with the people and talking to them. So I started dating older women because I'm like, they've been around, not older like y'all might think. They'll probably figuring like, all right, like, 45, 55. Now I'm talking like older, like what do we call the older one? Like the cougars. Cougars? All right, yeah. Well, I've been dating Thundercats, basically. These women are like expired. This is like the next level right here. I had one lady last week. I put her in the kitchen and she had broke her leg. The SPCA had to come out. We put her down. So that was a loss. That was definitely a loss for me. Rest in peace, Francine. So we got, rest in peace, Francine. But I realized, I was putting her through too much. I wanted to cook. So I'm like, I'm gonna get me a younger girl. I'm gonna go the whole other direction. And I went young, not homework young, but I went young. And this last girl, she came over and she was like, I'm gonna cook for you. And she went in the kitchen. She tried. It was the first time I had spaghetti with bones in it. I don't know where the bones came from. I'm still confused. I'm still confused about that. But that was my first time eating spaghetti with bones in it. I was. Yeah, so young girls can't cook either. So then I'm like, you know what? I'm totally off. I'm realizing what it is. I need food. That's my issue. I need to eat. So I started dating plus size women, but I didn't get a regular plus size. I got like, this chick was like one of the Real Housewives of Old Country Buffet. I mean, she was huge, man. Fat Lives Matter. She was like just like I don't know. A 2-piece for her at the beach is a breast and a wing. Like that's what that is. She was pretty big. So she was the first chick to make me a hot dog from scratch, basically. I don't know if you ever had that, man. It was special, man. I'm telling you, it was serious. She died in the kitchen too, so the SPCA came out there to put her down. But we maintain it here in the city, man. We maintain it despite the fireworks and all that stuff. Kids learning now. I was thinking back, so I graduated. Now is like the 20-something year anniversary. I don't even remember. I went to school here in Philly, so it really don't matter where I graduated from or what I was doing. But I remember the day I graduated, it was like burning up. It had to be like 95 degrees outside. And to watch these kids graduate from a laptop this year, it was like some real bullshit, man. So I I cut the oven on and made my son walk through the kitchen. He walked through the kitchen twice, and he had a suit on too, a 5-piece suit. I put extra shit on him because I wanted him to feel what I felt. It sucks. It definitely sucks, man. Everything has changed. I don't know what the new norm is, or if we ever gonna go back to norm. Black porn is definitely suffering. It is nothing like it used to be. I remember black porn didn't have storylines. Now they talking to you. They talking too much. It's sick, man. I don't know. I'm just, and they wearing the mask too. I don't know if y'all see. I don't know what y'all watch. What your phone might show us, but I'm a porn fan. I'm a big fan of porn, and black porn suffered for a while. It did. I mean, all those extension cords and wires and shit. It was doing bad for a minute, man. And then now they talk. Like I said, they like talking artists now. These guys, they go all out, and it's very interactive now. My only thing with black porn is always a second penis. I don't know if y'all know. It's always a second penis coming to screen. I don't know what that's for. I just like I'll watch porn, and I'm good. My imagination. I can make myself be the dude on the screen. I can be him. I can do all the shit he's doing in my mind. But when that second penis comes in, dude, I'm going. I'm out. I gotta go. I don't know what happened. I can't block that out. It's like watching the infomercial in the air fryer. The air fryer gets another air fryer on top of it. Like you only need one air fryer. You don't want 2 air fryers. That's too much air frying. You know what I mean? Speaking of which, the air fryer is my thing now too. I love air fryers. So I don't go to bed at night now that we don't have anything going on, and I'm sure everybody's sleep is off, and you just up and for no reason. And now, I've been watching these infomercials, and they got me the other night. I bought 6 air fryers for the price of 7. I mean, I was sleepy, I was confused, and they said, "But call now, and you're gonna pay for an extra." And I don't know what happened, but it was really crazy. But I got the air fryer. It was amazing. I made a burger in 20 seconds. I made a burger. It's my first time making a burger in 20 seconds. It still had blood in it, but it was done. I mean, it was just what they said on TV. I ate it. The SPCA came out, but I didn't let them put me down. But it was amazing, man. I'm telling you, these air fryers are crazy. So I want to know how it made the burger in 20 seconds. So what I did was I opened up the back of the air fryer. Now I was high, so I don't know if I was really inside of it, but I opened the back of the air fryer. I climbed inside. Then a second penis came, and I got out of there. I was like, oh, that's how you do it. That's how the air fryer works so fast. It's that second penis. I don't know, man. Crazy. What else? You know what? I was I've been lying on a lot of resumes too, because I figured while I was out of work, I had time to be more creative, and I'm not doing comedy and everything. So I'm gonna be a gym teacher whenever school starts back up. Now I'm out of shape. I didn't even go to regular gym when I was in school, but we're gonna see how this works. But this is my second time doing this though. I lied on a resume before, and I got a gym job, and I got to the school. And I was like, look, we're going to draw today. This is a different type of gym class. We're going to just draw pictures. So I handed out sheets of paper to all the kids. And I said, you guys, I'm going to let you do some freelance artwork. You can draw whatever you want. And this little girl in the back of the room said, I want to draw you. And then this other little kid said, I want to draw you too. And then this other boy said, yeah, I'm going to draw you, bitch. And I'm like, you still talking to me? They were all talking about me. So I said, all right, fuck it. Draw me, kids. Draw me. You too, you little bitch. So I'm just getting back at them. So we going back and forth or whatever. So I start to walk around the room, and I look at the papers. Basically, they drew a poop emoji with a beard on it. Everybody did the same shit. One boy called me Kimbo Slice, and the other kids just started balling the paper up, throwing it at me, and I quit. So hopefully this next go round, my next gym class will be a little bit better than this one I do here. Another thing I learned about school, I don't know if y'all got kids, man. School has totally changed. Like, you got to bring everything to school now. I don't know if y'all seen the school supply. You got to bring everything but to school. Like, you bring your debt, all that shit. I had to send my son to IKEA before he even started school. Like, he had to bring his own desk. When I went to school, I'm telling you, man, I had one pencil from the 1st grade to the 12th grade. And when the shit, like, broke, I would put it under my desk and rub it. Like, you know how you just rub it under the desk? I mean, you use that for something else now, but back in the day, man, this shit would give you a whole new pencil. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. So yeah, I mean, it's just different, man. This whole thing. I don't know how long we're gonna be masked up and and quarantining and all that. I know we probably got a second round coming, but I'm willing to take on that second round. Is that my time thing there? Can we switch out?
No. I was just.
Oh, that scared me. I got to get used to that. I seen a new person pop up. I'm like, all right, this look like black porn again. So, like, I thought that second thing was
penis, there it comes.
I was about to run. No, but yeah, man. Dating is crazy though, man. Dating is definitely different now. With all the websites and all this other stuff, man. I had went to a Christian mingle for a minute, but I don't know any Bible verses, so I got off of there. I did Farmers Only, which was basically a bunch of homeless people from New Jersey. So I got off of there too. I stopped messing around with that. And now, you know what it is, man? Things are not the same in the beginning of these relationships that they are at the end point. So I should say that the other way around. So things in a relationship change quickly with women. In the beginning, they come to bed with like Victor's Secrets on and all that other shit. And then, I don't know, 2-3 months later, they start wearing shower caps and shit, looking like Miss Butterworth. And it's like, who are you? You know what I'm saying? And why are you wearing a family reunion t-shirt to bed? And who is rest in peace Earl? Like, I can't have sex with you with that shirt on. So it's like, women, I'm telling you, man, women are not the same. We do little shit. Like, we stop washing. Men, we just stop washing. Women just totally change on you. You're like, yo, where is the woman R. Kelly introduced me to? Like, you're not the same person. You're not the same woman I met. I don't know, man, but it's crazy. I hope things get back to normal. I hope we get back to normal. Doing comedy shows in your kitchen, in your living room, in your car. Yeah, like it's crazy. It feels so weird, man. But I like any outlet we can get. I love it. I miss strip clubs too, man. I do. I used to go to strip clubs, man, and I used to throw money, man. I used to throw like $4 and $5, $6 out, and I would pick them back up. I would pick them back up and then rub them on the next stripper. So I was really good with that, man. I had that whole thing down, man. I was at that age where I was able to pull my money back. It's like an instant rebate. And now, it's just like it's a struggle now, man. I don't know. Are we ever going to be able to touch a stripper again? Like, is that going to be life again? Like, will we ever be able to do that? I don't know. Or do I got to keep throwing ones at Pornhub? I mean, it's insane, man. But I don't know. Life will change. I hope. What else has been going on? I know this is kind of like a politically geared thing a little bit, but I don't know if I want to touch on politics because I don't think there's nothing to touch on anymore. I think we're off. Like, something is definitely off. Something is not right. I gave up. I don't have a president. I have a block captain now. That's all I do. I just listen. Wherever they want me to park my car is where I park the car. Other than that, I don't listen to anything or anybody anymore. It's really out of control. I don't know. Hopefully things change. I don't know if that's a change for the better, but we need some kind of change, like, quickly. Because I can't keep looting at night, man. You know what I'm saying? I can't keep doing this. I got 3 televisions in the front room and there's no more room. So I need rules. I need different rules in place or something. And my son, the other night, he came in and I seen him. He came in with like a group of boys and they had a television. I said, hey, that's bullshit. Take that fucking TV back. I want you to go wherever you got that TV and put it the fuck back. He was like, we got it from Best Buy. I said, go to Best Buy and put the television back. And he was like, well, why are you? I said, because you're not supposed to do that. I said, what you're supposed to do is go to Staples and get school supplies for next year. You're supposed to get binders and composition books and pens and shit you need. You know what I mean? So he's looting wrong, basically. So I don't know. I might have to have a talk with him when this is all over. Nah, man. But I really do. I appreciate this format, man. I think this is dope. Now, how many different areas are we coming from right now?
Right now, just Massachusetts, California, and even Connecticut. Or not Connecticut. But
Okay, so I was actually in Cali. I guess it was 2 years ago. I was in Hawthorne, which I thought I guess it's like a small pocket right outside of LA. It's like 15 minutes from LAX.
Yep.
Where English is the third language, and I was totally blown away by the lack of English. I mean, it was cool. It was cool. I thought I could see like some of the stuff from TV, like the gangs and all that, but that wasn't there. It was just a bunch of people working and speaking Spanish, and it was very dope. It was like watching a Walmart get built every day. Like it just watching people go in circles and point at you. But it was definitely different. It was a different vibe. I walked the Hollywood Hills. I did that. That was a waste of my time. I would never do no shit like that again. I got to the top. There wasn't any prize up there, nothing. It was just like, you got to go the fuck back down after this. So I actually rolled down the hill. I couldn't get an Uber up there, so I just rolled down the hill. But that was definitely a good waste of time. I drove through the Hollywood Hills too, so I got to see where all the people who do make it in comedy, where they live at, and that was pretty dope. And then they called the cops, so we went back the other way. So that didn't last long. What else did I like about Cali? I don't know. I guess just the whole vibe. I went to Malibu Beach. I stole some things, little shit, trash cans and shit. Stuff I knew I could take with me. I had the car. We were in the car, and I was telling the guy just throw some shit in the back, souvenirs from people's houses. And they'd never see me again anyway, so it didn't matter. But it was dope. Cali is definitely a dope experience. It's very different from the East Coast. Over here, we got, I don't know. I think over in Cali, the difference is like the people that are like struggling or that are like, like bad or off, out on their luck or whatever. Over here, we just call them homeless. Over there, it's like, he's a rising actor. Like, okay, dude, like I saw you eat out the trash can. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not rising. But no, man. Other than that, it was dope. It's definitely a different vibe over there. I have been up north, Maine. I used to do shows in Portland, Maine. So that's pretty cool vibe up there too. The seafood. I think they said Portland, Maine is known for. Well, Stephen King's from Portland, Maine, and the dude that made the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't know how where he got that from or how he came up with that from being in Portland, but that was the two big things in Port. Oh, and the lobster. So Maine was definitely dope, man. Maine was a cool spot. Their homeless people actually live in houses. They were like people that were like broke but still living indoors. So it was dope there too. Other than that, man, comedy's taken me a couple places. I've been to Mexico. I've done comedy in Mexico. I took Spirit Air. I don't know if any of you have ever been on Spirit Air. That shit's like, it's like public transportation in the sky, man. That shit is it's weird. I don't know if you ever seen Soul Plane, but it's the same shit, man. I never seen nothing like this, bro. I never had to stand up on a flight before. It was weird. The whole flight, I stood up. It was kind of crazy. But I knew it was some bullshit because they picked me up from a Walmart. I was like, wait a minute. Like, hold on. That's how I knew it was a little sketchy, man. I'm like, I was in the candle aisle and I kept hearing airplanes. I'm like, yo, this shit is not right, man. Something's a little off with this, man. But then you had to sign the waiver. Like, I was like, I don't know about this. The only thing worse if if I'd had a black pilot, I think that would have been the end for me. I would have just called it quits. I done played enough video games to know that shit don't look right. But I don't know. Rest in peace, Spirit Air. But no, I want to thank you guys real quick for having me on, man. Although it's last minute, it's always fun to do some comedy in any form. I really enjoy this. I did watch, I guess, the previous show that was up on YouTube to kind of see how this flowed a little bit. And I think this is a cool concept, and hopefully it catches on.
Since you might be dipping out to take care of your...
I'll stay on. I'll stay. They can. They'll be fine.
Do you feel hopeful about anything that's happening in Philly right now? Like with all that's happening nationally, but mostly what's happening in your area? Do you feel hopeful about any of that?
I think there's changes, but one thing that has to happen, the momentum has to stay the same. And I don't mean that in a way of like where people are like actually looting or destroying things, but I think they do need to keep gathering. I think they do need to continue to push for laws. I think they do need to continue peaceful protests. You can't let up now because these things have taken place before. They've happened before. Laws have changed before. This isn't the first time people marched. This isn't the first time people looted. They destroyed LA years ago. You know, when I was a teen, when the whole Rodney King thing was going on, and LA never recovered from that. But the laws never changed, and the accountability never changed. So now I think everybody, you know, be it business, be it government, I think everybody now has open eyes as to what's going on. Not just, and I can't say they have eyes open to this, but because they've already had that. People already knew what was going on. I think now it's like, okay, we're not allowed to get away with these things now. Now people are speaking out, and now we're going to have issues if these things continue. So we need to be more proactive, and hopefully people just don't fall off of that. And I think one of the things that kills it is us being right now in a summertime mode. Like we got in Philly, we got our first heat wave coming. So we're going to have like 4 straight days of 90-degree weather. And with that, you have people running to the beach. You have people vacationing. School is finally out for all the kids. You know, they were doing the online school, the homeschooling. So you just hope that some of the momentum, some of the impact that they gained from 2 weeks ago continues.
You know, I have a question for you. You know, being a native Philadelphia myself, man, I was glad to see. Did you guys tear down the Rizzo statue?
They tore it down. What happened was it was removed overnight. So our current mayor, and for those who don't know, Frank Rizzo was a mayor back in the 70s. And he
very racist,
very racist, openly racist, didn't care.
Yeah.
You know, sexist. He used, you know, certain words and certain terms towards gays, towards blacks, towards Koreans. Like he just didn't care. And he was the mayor. He was the police chief and then the mayor. And he had a statue put up, which is just as bad as putting up a statue of a Confederate leader or anything else in a city that's so diverse. So for years, people have been begging for that statue to come down. And finally, even our current mayor, who's only on his first term, was asked to take that statue down a number of times. And he kept saying, we will remove it. We're in the process of seeing how we can get it down and all that. And through all this stuff that was going on last week, one night out of nowhere, the city had it removed. So it was time.
You know, the reason I asked that is because what people don't realize, a lot of people may not realize, is, you know, Philadelphia is the nation's first capital. You know, and you know, there's such a rich history of African American music, culture, and everything in Philly. You know, how with Rizzo's statue coming down, how do you think that's affected the overall city vibe, and what's your opinion on seeing all these different statues finally starting to come down across the country that are of the same racist history or connotation?
I think with the Rizzo statue right now, it definitely it was I guess a breath of fresh air for some. There were a lot of young people who started to do their own research on what that meant and why it was such a thing, you know, because everybody talked about it. But it almost was like a thing that you just didn't have to deal with because everybody just talked about it. They didn't do anything about it. There was nobody that ever threatened to do anything major. They just always said that's an eyesore, that statue is there, or that it represents something that we no longer want here in the city. And I think with all of these statues, and with all of the protests and all of the hashtags and the different things that are being thrown out in the social media presence, I think they're all kind of being guided in some ways by the youth. You know, the youth is pushing, and because they're so animate about this, as where we have just lived through it and just said, okay, that statue ain't going nowhere. Because they make such an uproar about things, and it's their time, and they're showing things, and they're wearing shirts, and they're putting hats on, and they're like going with these signs, and they're loud, and they're not stopping, and they're smart, and they're doing their research. Because they're doing all this, it's making it easier for the switch to turn as far as the I guess whoever makes these calls, you know, like, all right, we got to take this down. We got to get rid of this. It's different when we have people complaining about it. But now you got these kids who are throwing things out in the world. They're putting things out. They're talking about the businesses that are not supportive of Black Lives Matter. They're researching things. They're talking about where money is spent. They're talking about incarceration percentages and all this stuff. That's stuff that people don't do when they walk. When, you know, 15 years ago when they walk by these statues, they're just like, oh, that's him. He's just filled with hatred. We shouldn't even have that here. And they were going about their way. But now, again, because you have social media and everything is being brought to light, with the backdrop being this police brutality and all these things that you're seeing on film and on tape, it's making it a lot easier for the decisions to be made. Now, one thing that happens, of course, you will have division. I mean, it's only nature that you have people who are brought up a certain way who are still going to feel a certain way about these statues coming down. That Frank Rizzo statue, for the 8 people you see on the news that said, hey, I don't think it should have been up ever. Like, we shouldn't have had that statue here. You have 2 or 3 that say there's nothing wrong with it. He represents tough nose, hard, whatever. And they choose to ignore all of the racial things that, that kind of came with his behavior. And that's the same thing with like your other statues, like the General Robert E. Lee statue, and all the Columbus statues and all these other statues where like a guy may have been a quote unquote leader, but he had things that he was doing that when you really dig down, these things are racist. These are racist, racially conditioned moves and things that they were involved with that really weren't benefiting people of color. So it's like you got to think about that. Like, there are people that are hurt just at the whole thought of some of these things. So right now, I feel like we're going in the right direction. But again, you can't let up, because this is not the first time. This is just this is a stepping stone. The stuff that's going on now. There's a lot of things that need to be moved. There's a lot of laws that need to be passed. There are still things that are happening. You had lynchings last week. Yep. You had a girl shot at a bus stop by supremacists. Like, you still have things that are going on, and those things are going to happen now, probably a little more because of the statues coming down. Like I said, when you cater to one, you're leaving some people to revolt, and those people are going to be mad too, and they're going to have their feelings too. So you got to understand that's going to be the downside. But I think what it is, it's going to take some training of the people. Education has to change. You bring up a really good point. And I'm sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You can jump back into the thought, but you bring something that I deal with when I tour. Okay, and you're down in Atlantic City doing shows and you tour, so I'm going to be really interested in your take on this. I've started calling these people subconscious racist, right? You have the white supremacists, you have these people that are saying, I believe in this stuff. But then you have all these people that they say this racist ass shit to you, to me, and they don't even realize that they're being racist. I would imagine you have that experience also, right? Yeah. So, What are your thoughts? So when you have to white America that may be watching this, what do you have to say to them for them to be able to look inward, to look within their community, within their families, and say, hey, listen, African Americans and Latino Americans and Asian Americans for years have had to self-police ourselves morally,
to as well as in every other way, to make sure that our communities, our families grow stronger and leave behind these things that are toxic to who we are as people. What do you say to Americans that need to do that same type of self-reflecting now, if that makes sense to you?
Yeah, well, I think now, because so many things are now brought to light, people who were, quote unquote, living the right way, those who are not people of color, who are living the right way, who respect other cultures, but are surrounded by or have a dad or have an uncle or have someone in their family that's just like, yo, I'm not in tune with that race. I can't follow that race. I can't agree with that race. I can't agree with their behaviors. Now things have been made a lot more simplistic. Now I can go on and throw a hashtag up. What's the term used when you're talking about like blacks and the things that are basically talking about this social structure of black people and communities and how they can't have certain things and how things are set up. Systematic racism, basically.
Right.
You can hashtag that, and it'll show you videos on YouTube, on Instagram, or you can Google those terms now, and it'll pretty much break down in the most simplistic. I mean, they're using cartoons to show you, well, if you take people and you put them in this situation and their education is like this and their housing is like this and these people come in and this happens, and it's showing you all this stuff. And again, a lot of this is fueled by old behavior, so I can't, there's a lot of times where you can look at someone and say, you know what, you're racist or you don't get us. But the thing is, they really don't get you. It's not even a form of racism. Sometimes it's more of a washed behavior. When there are certain things that you're used to, or there's certain things that you've been around, or certain things that you're accustomed to, you have no way of picking up any other thoughts. That guy who was raised in a certain situation. So I'll give you an example. When I started grade school, my dad sent me an hour away. I went to school. I was living in Mount Airy, which is a section of Philadelphia. Mount Airy. So it was really quiet. I was the Fresh Prince of Mount Airy. I had a lawn. All my neighbors were older, middle class blacks and all that stuff in the 80s. Very decent neighborhoods. But my dad purposely sent me an hour away to go to school in the Northeast. He was like, I want you to be around different races. I want you to understand you're going to go through different things. You're going to see certain things. You're going to experience things you don't like. That doesn't happen outside of people of color. I can't. It's very rare that you'll have a Caucasian family say, you know what I'm about to do? I'm about to send you to North Philadelphia. Right. To go to school so that you can experience black life and understand what goes on in their day to day. And you're going to learn how you're going to be treated different and all these different things. So I was able to grasp certain things. I had things happen to me. I have been called names. Nothing crazy, nothing ever super racial. But I will say there was times like projects I did. One day I come in, I had a science project and the science project was destroyed. And my teacher told me kind of suck it up and, move on. This might have been like the third grade. And my dad came up and he was like, he came to school and he was asking what was the problem? Why was my project not protected like every other kid's? I thought they locked the doors at night, all that. And I had about 2 or 3 run-ins with teachers, but those teachers, my dad explained to me, like just listening to them talk and listening to how they're handling the situation, they're definitely coming from a place of I'm dealing with the unknown. I haven't had a black child in this class before. I haven't had to deal with this before. So this is how I'm treating you. I'm treating you like I don't know how to handle you. And that's similar to what you're seeing right now in the police departments. If I'm a cop and I live in the suburbs and I'm going into an urban neighborhood to police that area and I'm not used to this, I'm going to put up my guard from the door. I'm going to protect myself without even protecting the law. I'm in a survival mode and not in the police mode. And that's what happens with these cops a lot of time. And then it just becomes your nature. It just becomes what you do. When I get down into the hood, I'm gonna be this asshole cop. I'm gonna be this guy with all these citations already. The guy who killed George Floyd already had a number of things. He had a small rap sheet himself.
18 points.
Right. And we talk about Floyd and his past was brought up, but this cop also breaks the law.
Right.
So it's kind of it's bad, but again, he more than likely comes from a place where that's not a George Floyd is not the guy who he finds as a friend or who he has as a neighbor or he deals with regularly, which kind of goes to a whole nother direction. But I really feel like one of the biggest things with the police force, and that's another thing I've been seeing pop up everywhere. They show you the type of training that other police forces go through across the world now. Some of these guys have to have degrees. Some of them go through sensitivity training. Some of them have to, live in certain neighborhoods for certain amounts of time before you can police a neighborhood. We don't have that. We're just throwing guys out there who want a badge. And a lot of guys who want badges, unfortunately, have been those types of guys their whole life. They want to rule things. They don't want a boss. They want to get in the streets with a gun and police things. And it sucks. But I don't know. We do have some ways to go, though.
A follow-up question to that, and Matt, then Matt, I'll let you jump in. What do you think? What would you say is something that every American, white, black, Latino, Asian, Native American, whatever, what do you think we all can do in our communities to help better, for us to tamp down on the racial divisions, to help elevate everybody in an equal way?
I think the biggest thing with a lot of us is communication. And that goes from black to white, from white to black, from Asian to black. We need to have lines of communication open, better lines. We shouldn't talk to each other once it's time for confrontation. We should have representatives from small pockets of neighborhoods. It's funny because you'll have a neighborhood pretty much policing itself as its neighborhood. So I'll have a 5-block radius and you'll have a bunch of block captains getting together talking about this 5-block radius. In that 5-block radius, are you including everyone though? Is everybody coming out? Is there a representative from every culture there? If there's 2 Asian families, one of those Asian families should be at these meetings. But we need to get back to that though. We do need to get back to meetings. We do need to get back to block captains. There was a reason why those things were put in place. And that's something that we kind of drew up on our own, underlying the police, underlying laws and all that. That became a thing, especially in Philly, where it's just like, hey, you can have a town watch, but don't we need to meet? Don't we need to talk to each other? Don't we need to know who's who? People don't welcome anybody anymore. People don't welcome people to the neighborhood. You're gonna have people that don't fit in certain places. You're gonna have all black neighborhood where you get a black family move in and it's just like, yo, they're not doing things that are great for our neighborhood. So how do we deal with them? How do we approach them? How do we talk to them? So in a bigger scale, we need to have it in a spot where you have neighborhoods meeting with neighborhoods. You can vouch for this. Philadelphia is one of the most divided cities I've ever seen. Like, you can take Broad Street, which is our main street, start at the top in Cheltenham and drive down, and you can say, all right, this is the black section, and now for the next 6 blocks, it's going to be all Spanish. And then you're going to get to Temple University, and you're going to have all Temple students. And then after that, you got the white people that got a little bit of money, and then you keep going. You got Center City, and you got to have money, like big money, to live here. And then you keep going, and you got Italians living down here in South Philadelphia. Like, that's how Philly is. There is not a lot of blending. And then when you do have blending, you have issues. So I think that it would be big if a lot of these larger towns do get together and kind of these larger cities get together, take a small piece of each one of these communities and put them together. If they can get together on like a monthly basis, and then you can bring in law enforcement, because law enforcement needs to be a part of that too. They need to know already what the issues are and how we can deal with them and how people feel, because you can't know how I feel once you get to the scene of the crime, or once you get to the call, the response call, because now your guards are like, oh my God, what's going on? He did what? And you guys are totally like out of control once you get to the scene of these crimes these once you're responding to a call, you guys seem to just be in another world. Like, it's just like, all right, it's the police versus this person. And again, that starts beforehand. That starts in training. But I think it would help if a lot of these police were brought in on these meetings, and if they had meetings with different pockets of cities, larger cities.
Right on. Matt, do you have a follow-up?
I don't have any real answers. I mean, obviously they've done stuff like with protests. There have been studies done that show that even if you are a garbage cop, that if you at least were dressed in your normal uniform and not riot gear, tensions are generally down. I don't need them to be marching with people and doing any like good cop cosplay, because people don't really want to see that. But if they're going to be there at all, they should just be in their normal uniform without any riot gear and just watching, not forming a giant line or a wall. And the other thing, going back to the subconscious racist thing, or this isn't something I've like made a practice my whole life, but for a large portion of my adult life, I've tried to, like, in moments when, you know, as a white person, if I'm called racist or called out on something as being racist, I've made the choice to ask why they feel that way and then just be quiet, not argue the matter, so that I can either learn or at least get why they feel that way. Because it's not beneficial for me to go, oh no, I'm not a racist. Let me try and prove it with receipts that don't matter to you because you don't know me.
Right. You know, I think what's been interesting for me is how many of my white friends have been trying to figure out how to express solidarity without sounding ignorant or pompous, and really trying to understand better what white privilege actually is. Because I think a lot of people up until recently really never actually paid much attention to it, or they didn't understand it, so they didn't think about it. But now that they see this brutality and these murders happening with black people more and more often, they're starting to realize it's like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, I have a friend of mine who has been, he's been busted on a DUI 5 times, and it was the 5th time that he lost his license. You know, and I was like, how is it even possible after 1 DUI? You know? And so I'm going to, you know, do you have any comments, stuff like that, you know, that you've seen, systemic issues, the disparity that comes to mind as a comedian, or just as somebody living in Philly, and such a, because Philly is a very divided city. That's just very segregated in a lot of ways.
Real quick, something you just said though, and it's funny. I used to say that at my day job. I used to say, you know, I don't know a lot of black people with DUIs. I'm like, I hate to say it, but that's usually not our end result. And I don't mean it's always a murder or anything, but usually you're just going to jail, or you're getting your car towed or something like that. DUIs is kind of foreign to us. I do not know a lot of black people who get DUIs, and I don't have many, and I have a ton of white friends. Like, I actually do a show for the Mummers Clubs in South Philly. I have a show I do with those guys. Yeah, so and with that, I mean, I'm kind of in a mix with a lot of people, and I don't know, I can't go 2 friends without saying, yo, you ever had it? Yeah, I've had a DUI. Like, it's like common, especially in South Philadelphia. But amongst blacks, we really don't get that we don't get that. We don't get let off for anything. So a DUI is something that, that they have had chances. A lot of my white friends have pile up to the point where they literally are restricted from driving, or they have to do like a car breathalyzer. Whereas
Right.
I'm like,
I've seen those. Yeah.
I'm like, you will never see that with a black. I've never seen a black person have to use that, because either A, they're just going to jail, or B, the car is being taken, they're like sent off on their way. So it's a weird thing.
Right.
I don't. Yeah.
You're 100% right. Black people, you're taken to jail immediately. So I think African Americans, generally speaking, are much more careful around drunk driving to start off with,
Right.
because they know getting pulled over, in and of itself is almost a death sentence. Not to mention if you're drunk, and what's going to happen to you, how long you're in jail, the whole 9 yards. Plus the socioeconomic disparity issues, so how do you recover from that? Because the DUI here in California basically costs 10 grand, and black people don't have that opportunity,
Right.
Do you feel that this generation, this time we're in, do you think policing laws and sentencing laws are going to change over the next few years?
I do believe they are. I think now, again, because stuff is kind of being made so black and white, and it's like, all right, it's in your face now, and people are not stopping. I fear that they are going to slow up a little bit, but unfortunately, stuff is still happening. Like I said last week, you had a murder in a Wendy's parking lot. You had you had the shooting of the girl. You had the lynchings. So I do believe you're still going, because these things are still going to happen. The guys in the Wendy's parking lot actually removed their cam was removed from there. So you got cops now saying, you know what? That's another thing. I do tell people, especially my white friends, when they ask me like, hey, like, yo, this is crazy. I can't believe this. I say, imagine what was happening before body and dash cams.
Right.
I said, you don't even want to think about. This is just the stuff that got caught that we know about. There's stuff that's been, a lot of these stories that we hear, like the Floyds and all, those are weeks old, or some of them months old. Some of them are just like gone. Like a lot of these stories we don't hear, but when we did not have dash cams, all that stuff is new. All this technology is new. And at the same time, a police department still has to view it and say they really want to release it. So if I have a police commissioner or chief who's like, oh, they shot somebody, I'm not dealing with this. Erase that camera. Let's keep it moving. None of that even matters anyway. The dash cam, the cameras on the police officer, none of that stuff really changes anything. And as we see it, it really don't matter, because they're still doing these things, regardless of whether they're on. And they have people taping them. You got a lot of these incidents have been caught on cell phones. So not only do they have cameras on them, but people are recording them, and they're still like, I'm going to kill this person. So I do think right now, because everything that happens is going to cause a reaction from people, now I think hands are forced to do certain things. That's why all these businesses and all these corporations are now speaking out. My son cut a video game on the Madden football, and there was a Black Lives Matter thing on the bottom of the screen, a strip showing Black Lives Matter and talking about equality and all these things. And I read this meme that says, people are acting like black people just came out. Like, this is new. Like, we're new things, and this is how you got to treat them. No. So we've been around. We've been dealing with these things. We've been going through these things. Now you got, like, America doesn't want that reaction that they had 2 weeks ago. Philly does not want to get ripped to shreds again. I mean, we lost Center City. You can go for blocks of our downtown area, and there are businesses that will not be back. They were looted, they were burned down, they were destroyed. Our PA liquor system here, Fine Wine and Spirits, we got 50 stores all around the city. I think they said only half of them are ever coming back. Like, they're not even going to bring those back, because they were in neighborhoods where they just like, we're not going to put money back into that for fear of the next time something happens, we're going to lose our business. So I don't think America wants that again. Philly was only one of the cities like that. This thing that happened with George Floyd went so global. I mean, I was honestly shocked when I saw places like in Asia where they were marching, and I'm like, whoa, like they're not even really allowed to be in the streets protesting, and they're protesting for a black man across the world. You know, this was bigger than anything else. I mean, Rodney King was crazy because it's like, oh wow, this was on videotape, and we were seeing it so much. But now with social media and all these things and these messages that are being relayed and put out there, and the constant things that are being thrown out, and people not forgetting about Breonna Taylor, and they're going to keep saying their names. That's bothering people, and it's forcing their hand. So now it's like, all right, we got to do it. And look what's happening. You got a lot of police resigning. They're just walking away from police jobs. Yeah. Like just quitting. So
yeah. One of the things, and Matt, I don't know how are we doing on time real quickly?
I mean, we're doing all right. We should probably wrap it up.
Okay. I'll say this. I was talking to a couple comedian friends of ours. Now comedy's starting to open up here in LA. What was interesting about Santa Monica riots is that you had mostly white people rioting or looting. That was hilarious. And then there was people coming in from outside with the intention to loot. You know, kind of just validating and just piggybacking off of what you were saying. You know, I think that if there's any one major benefit of the pandemic, is that people have been off work and they're home, you know, since March, right? And since March, you've seen about a good dozen black people get mercilessly killed in all these ridiculous ways. Michael Floyd, Breonna Taylor, just insanity. And so now people are actually home watching that. They're not working and then coming home to watch Netflix, and then they're actually seeing it happening in real time. And then they wake up 2 days, right? No sports at all, no basketball, no. You know, it's really only Netflix, the news, and a few other ways to get your entertainment. And every time you wake up in the morning, another black person has been killed. You know, and so that, I think, and so many white and Latino people, we all, along with black people, we are multicultural now. You know, for the most part, we all have all these different friends that are all these different races. Yeah. And so now when your black friend is like, dude, do you know what it's like to be fucking hunted? And you feel that stress. Now they're like, oh, I got it. And so they have to do something about it. They feel motivated to do that. I'll close with that and just hand it back off to you, my man. What are your thoughts on that? And then Matt Flynn, you jump in and take it out.
Okay.
I agree 100%. Like I said, what did I say before? It's now in the hands of the youth, and the youth are kind of leading this charge, and they want equality. One thing that happened during this pandemic, TikTok videos went crazy. Every TikTok video was a Drake song or a Megan Thee Stallion or some rapper, and it transcended things and it changed. And it's like, okay, so we got to wait for the next Drake song and the next this, but that's African American culture. You know, those are things that are leaned on in times where it's like, all right, we're going through shit, but hey, man, ain't nothing wrong with this, or we love that. But guess what? In order to embrace those things, you got to fully embrace them. So if you want to use my culture, if you want to be down with this, if you want to be entertained, if you want us to play basketball, if you want these things, you're going to need certain things in return. So that's where, you know, again, it almost bends and takes someone's hand and say, hey, come with me. Now help me out. And I think a lot of people are willing to do that. A lot of people want to help. They want this to work. They want us to live together. Yeah. They don't want
I agree. Matt Flynn?
I mean, I agree with everything you guys say. I think what also adds on top of the 15 plus years of people seeing cell phone footage, nothing to the majority of the cops who murdered these people or just beat the shit out of people for uncalled reasons. I think a lot of people who don't normally have to deal with any of that stuff realized during the whole COVID thing that the government really doesn't care about you. and so they're going out to support this other thing.
Yeah.
They also believe it. They believe that people should be, treated right and respected and treated with dignity. But on top of knowing, like, well, the government's not going to even give us like stimulus checks or health care, so fuck it, we're going to go out and do the protest. But I don't have any deep thoughts. So I'll leave it at that.
Well, first of all, Matt, I agree with what you're saying, and believe it or not, what you're saying is very poignant. And I smoked too much weed last night. I've gotten you already. I can't. What's your name, brother?
Mel.
Mel, I apologize. Okay,
Yeah.
We had our first, open mics are finally starting to happen back here in LA.
Yeah.
I was out and the motherfuckers brought dad rigs to the fucking goddamn mic, and next thing you know, I'm sitting on the side of the road talking with you. So I appreciate everything you had to say. Your stand-up is hilarious.
Oh.
Why don't you spit out your social media so anybody who's seeing this knows where to find you?
Yeah, I'm Mel Harris on Facebook. I'm comedian Mel Harris on Instagram. At Mel Harris Jr. on Twitter. But if you follow any of those, the other ones you'll find. So those are my main sites. Before everything went down, those were my two spots. I had just done Caroline's in December in New York. I had been out there. I had hit up a couple of the mics, like the Clown House downtown LA. I had done, it's been like 2 years. So I had a couple spots out there, but I got to get back out there. My plan was to come out there in April, and I just came back from doing shows in New Orleans, and I got booked for shows in June. I was like, all right, in April, I'm sneaking to LA for a week. My birthday's in April, and I was like, I want to go, and yeah. So
we're going to exchange information. I'm glad to meet you. Anytime you're coming out here, I'll be glad to put you on any shows that I can while you're out.
Dope,
you know what I mean? There's some great stuff going on out here. We'd love to have you for sure.
Oh man, I appreciate that, man. Same to you guys.
Absolutely.
All right.
For sure. And Matt Flynn, as usual, man. I just want to thank you very much for doing this. I do want to compliment Matt on finding a new way to be able to do blackface. So all comedians, this is how you do it if you must.
I don't want to say thank you to that, so I won't. But thank you, Mel Harris, for agreeing to do this with me. I know I've reached out to you in the past, and we just couldn't make anything work. But for agreeing to do this, and we'll figure something out in the future. And once again, Ron, and we'll try and do this again maybe next Sunday.
Absolutely.
All right. So, all right. Bye, I guess.
All right.
Guys,
thanks for having me, guys.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everybody who's been watching. Both of you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay woke, stay alive, stay healthy.
We'll try. Same to you.
All right, now.
Good night.
Bye-bye.